Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Global Education's virtual Expo, and we've got another webinar for you tonight. This is actually our second last one for this Expo, and last but not least, we've got a fantastic opportunity for you all to listen into and to see the different pathways that Study Group offer. Today's webinar is all about the pathway to a Russell Group University. This is in the UK, and we all know the Russell Group is some of the most prestigious universities in the UK. So to be able to have a pathway to these types of universities is a fantastic opportunity there for you to see and to learn from as well. We've got Winston Coley from Study Group here. He is the Student Recruitment Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa. In this region as well as where we focus on. So Winston is the key person in this industry for you to keep an eye out for. Global Education, who helps look after students and counsel them in terms of accommodation, counseling, student visas, the entire process. But we would work hand in hand with Winston and his team to make sure that you have an easy transition and a smooth pathway to one of these prestigious universities as well. And on that note, we've got about 34 people that have signed in, 37 people that have signed into this webinar. We do know South Africa has got some load shedding issues at the moment, so this webinar will be recorded and shared to the entire audience as well. So do enjoy, sit back, keep your questions and your answers coming through, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. And Winston, it's all yours.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, George, for the fantastic introduction for Study Group. Thank you everyone for joining today, for taking the time out of your evening, afternoons, wherever you're joining from. Thank you for joining today to listen to this webinar. As George mentioned, my name is Winston, so I am the Student Recruitment Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa, working for Study Group. UK is one of the key destinations that I look after. Today I'm going to be talking you through some of our key options that we have for students to help them progress on to Russell Group universities. I'll give you a little bit of a background as to Study Group, what we do to support students to be able to go to these universities. And also I'll be talking you through finally in terms of like the scholarship opportunities that we do offer for any students interested in studying with us. So moving on into the presentation. So a quick update in regards to what Study Group do, how we work. So we're a pathway provider, one of the top leading pathway providers within the world. We support students that need to or would like to study within the UK, not just the UK, but also we support students to go to other destinations like Australia, US. We've got partners in various different parts of the globe. In terms of our locations, we've got the broadest choice. So we've got a mixture of your top end Russell Group universities, which I'll be talking you through today, as well as your other universities, which are more moderate in terms of prices, which are still really good academically, like the options like Sheffield, Kingston's, etc. In terms of all of our programs, we do embed employability in all of our programs. So it's very inspiring for students when they want to come and study with us. Some of the programs we incorporate career heads is one of the key modules that we include. This is whereby we help students in terms of their employability beyond graduation. So we help them in terms of CV writing, interview skills, interview techniques, etc. when they're progressing on to. In terms of the universities that we do partner with in the UK, so 12 of them are actually in the top 50. More than 1,000 degrees that students can progress on to as well. So it is a wide range of options for any students that want to study through us and study within the UK. So just in terms of our range of universities that's highlighted there, there is a good range for students that they can choose to progress on to. Specifically, I'm going to be talking you through your Russell Group options, which is Cardiff University, Durham University, University of Leeds, and also our major university, University of Sheffield as well, which is a popular option within the region. But as you can see, we have got a wide range and a good range of the universities that students can progress on to in the UK. So in terms of our programs that we offer at Study Group, so it's a mixture. So you've got International Foundation Year, which we offer to students. So those are those students that want to progress onto bachelor's programs. In regards to International Foundation Year, the key question a lot of students generally ask is, why would I need to do an International Foundation Year? So there's two reasons. Firstly, it's for those students that don't quite meet the entry requirements or the academic requirements to get into direct entry at university. The second reason is that the UK education system is 13 years students will generally study before progressing on to university. So in most places around the world, schools or high schools only offer 12 years of study. So they offer study up to year 12. So in order for students to be able to go to university, they generally need to do that 13th year, which is a foundation year within the UK. So if students are studying up to year 12 and they don't do their 13th year, their 13th year could be the foundation year at a particular university, which will help them progress into their chosen degree. So your foundation year is 1 year, and then you'll progress onto your chosen bachelor's, which is either 3 years or 4 years, depending on if you choose to do a placement option in between that as well. And then you'll graduate and you can either go into further studies or you can go into work if you wish. In terms of our foundation programs, they are generally 3 terms, and generally they are September or January intake, but I'll talk you through those options that's available at the schools that I'm talking through, universities that I'm talking through today. And all of them have got a minimum IELTS requirements as well. I will talk you through the entry requirements for each of the Russell Group universities as I go along. The other type of program that we do offer is the International Year 1. So the International Year 1 is the equivalent of doing your standard bachelor's degree. It's your first year, of a standard bachelor's degree. So students that go into an International Year 1, these are generally students that have completed high school and completed a further year of study, and then they'll be able to go into the International Year 1. For those students that don't quite meet either the IELTS or they don't quite meet the academic criteria, but they have completed a further year of study, so they don't meet it to go into direct entry, these students can actually do an International Year 1. They won't be doing any extra year like you would do with the International Foundation. This is just the equivalent of your first year of your bachelor's. And then you either go into year 2, and complete the remaining either 2 years of the degree or 3 years if you've done a placement option as well. With these options, the International Year 1 is generally 3 or 4 terms. It's only offered at a select number of universities, so it's not all of our universities that we allow this. But generally, we do have this as a good option for those students that have completed a further year of study and don't quite meet those entry requirements to go directly into the chosen program. And then finally, the other type of program that we offer is pre-masters. So these are those students, graduate students. Again, they don't quite meet the entry requirements to go into direct entry for their master's programs. For example, generally at most universities, students are required to have at least a 2-1 to go into their chosen master's program. Some universities can accept as low as a 2-2, but with the actual pre-master's programs, we can accept a third-class honours bachelor's degree for students. Again, if you don't quite meet the IELTS, you can come and do the pre-masters as well. It's generally a 2 or 3 term short program that they can do before progressing on to their masters as well. So it's very helpful for those students that don't quite meet the requirements to go into their masters. Another thing to add is that with the UK education system, there is a company called NARIC. They go around and they assess all universities around the globe to see if their degree or bachelor's degree is an equivalent of a UK bachelor's degree. So they give a university a ranking based on their academics. If a university is ranked highly, then generally the bachelor's degree is an equivalent to the UK degree. If a university across the world is not ranked as highly, because their degree is not an equivalent to a UK degree, those students that completed that bachelor's would generally have to do a pre-master's or a further top-up program before going into a master's year, only because they feel that students may not have the academic academic ability to be able to choose the master's programs. So there's various reasons students may have to do a pre-master's before going on to their master's, but it's all there to help support students to go into their chosen masters, to go into their chosen degree, and then obviously ultimately graduate. So moving on to Russell Group University. So a lot of students may know here Russell Group. They may not really understand what a Russell Group University is. So before moving on to talking about each university, I thought I'll just give you a quick background as to what a Russell Group University is. So the Russell Group is the group of top 24 research-led universities in the UK itself. These are research-intensive universities. They're known for their academic, for having high academic achievement and a long history of education as well within the UK. They've got a great history, a good ethos in terms of their teaching, and also in terms of their characteristics. They're all quite different in the way that they do operate, but traditionally they're known as the red brick universities within the UK. In terms of the academic research, they have huge social, economic, and cultural impacts locally. So they get involved not just in the UK, but around the globe. But you generally will see that Russell Group universities are the one that's involved in the various vaccines. If you look at the research for the vaccine for COVID recently, then you would have seen that a lot of either the Russell Groups would have been involved in that in the UK, or if you look at the UK, the US system, these would have been like the Ivy League universities. So they get involved in a lot of that research impact to help support and develop society, cure diseases, find cures or treatments for various different diseases as well. They produce 2/3 of the world's leading research, as mentioned, and in terms of that, they also support over 260,000 jobs around the country. So they are really good for employability as well. They also inject 87 billion into the national economy every year in terms of their support that they provide. One other thing just to highlight about Russell University is, so in the UK, there's roughly around 130 actually accredited universities within the UK, or higher education, higher education institutions, sorry. 80% of the actual university research funding goes towards that top 24. So you can see what the top 24 Russell Group, sorry. So you can see why a lot of students are really interested in studying at Russell Group University. You can see why it's very popular for students that want international students, sorry. And you can see why it's really great to have a Russell Group University on your CV and a degree from a Russell Group University for when you want to progress on and your prospects within the future. So moving on to our Russell Group partners. So the first one I'm going to cover off today is Cardiff University, located in Wales, within the UK. It's a fantastic location. A lot of students generally don't know much about Wales. They generally only look at London as one of the main destinations within the UK. But Cardiff itself, the actual city is a lot similar to London in terms of it has that sort of like built-up feel. You've got the metropolitan sort of like area and the metropolitan feel, but at the same time, it's got those rural areas as well. So it's got a lot of history in terms of like its castles, a lot of rural places like Mount Snowdon, which a lot of students like to go and visit and climb during their free time. So you've got the best of both worlds. You get that traditional sort of rural aspect of the UK, and you've got that really deep traditional history side of things when it comes to their local architecture and buildings. But at the same time, you've got that modern sort of approach to education, and you've got that high class sort of like metropolitan type of feel as well. So you do get the best of both worlds. It's also one of the it's the UK's most affordable university city. So for those students that, obviously studying at a Russell Group is quite expensive, but if you want to save some money in terms of accommodation costs, accommodation fees, then generally Cardiff is a good option for those students as well. They're known quite well for quite a few of their programs, but one of the popular ones that I wanted to mention is architecture. They are actually top 5 in the UK for architecture, and actually, in fact, their actual foundation program is the only one of our portfolio. So the foundation to progressing on to the bachelor's in architecture is the only one that doesn't actually require a portfolio for students to progress onto the actual program itself. All the other destinations that we do have, when you're doing your foundation year, you are required to have the portfolio for when you apply for foundation. But with Cardiff, you don't need it for when you apply. We help you to build that portfolio for when you move on to the first year of your bachelor's. So that is a good thing to do. If you're looking for architecture, if any of you are interested in that particular subject, then Cardiff is a great option for you. So it's just showing you the location, so you can see where Wales is in terms of the UK. So you can see it's just located there where the map is highlighting. So it's just to the west, as you say, for the UK. It's a great destination for students, as I said, and you can travel in and out of London quite easily and other major cities. In terms of Cardiff itself, it's made up of 3 colleges and 28 different academic schools. For those students that's going into the various different sort of like departments, so you've got like arts, humanities, and social sciences as one college, and then you've got 10 different academic schools amongst those subject areas. You've got physical sciences and engineering, and then you've got 7 academic schools underneath those subject areas, and then you've got biomedical and life sciences, which is another popular option there, and that's made up of 7 academic schools. The university itself has over 350 courses that students can choose from. It's also one of the largest within the UK. So it's got a good population of students. 7,500 of those are international students from more than 140 countries each year. So you can see that the diversity and the student body is very good, it's very well diverse, and it's very welcoming to international students. Just a couple of things in regards to the location, just to highlight for you. So it's distance from other major cities. So by train, it's roughly 2 hours away from the UK, from London. You've also can travel to other major cities because of the transport links there as well. In terms of international airports, you've got Cardiff Airport, and you've also got Bristol Airport, which is about an hour drive away from the university. For all students that come to study at the International Study Centre, we do offer pickups for students. If you are interested to come, you don't need to feel like you're traveling somewhere where you will not know how to get to. We do support students in terms of traveling to the campus once they arrive at the airport as well. We do offer pickups from London airports as well. So any airport that's within a good vicinity of the actual city itself, we can offer pickups for those students. Now, going deeper into the actual programs, so we offer the International Foundation year and the Pre-Masters year at Cardiff University. Students generally, when they go into the International Foundation year, will have 4 routes to choose from. So 4 core routes. So again, it's relevant to their particular college or academic school. So you've got the arts, humanities, the laws, and social sciences. So these are for those students that again want to go into maybe like psychology, or they want to go into law. They might want to go into arts and design, not architecture, sorry, but various different design sort of options is available for them to progress on from that foundation. You've got the business, economics, accounting, and finance route. Again, this is for those students that may want to go into business management, international business. They may want to go into accounting degrees, various different options in that area. Then got engineering, physical sciences, and architecture. Again, this is more for civil engineering, or if students want to go into mechanical engineering or architecture, this is the foundation they will study. And then specifically, we've got the health, medical, and life sciences route. So with the health, medical, and life sciences route, Cardiff is the only university partner that we have that offer a pathway to progress into medicine and a pathway to progress into dental surgery. So for those students that's interested in these programs, projecting from bachelor's, it is obviously highly competitive. They have got caps on those programs, but this is the foundation that you will go into. Generally, what will happen when you study an international foundation year, and this is almost at any university that you'll go to if you're doing a foundation, the first term will generally be a general term. So you'll be doing your core modules, you'll do an academic English skills module, and you'll be amongst students that's within those other fields. So for example, if you're studying the arts, humanities, law, and social sciences routes, you'll be with other students you'll be with like students that's going into art and design, or students that's going into law will be amongst your first term within your classes. When you get into your second term, that's when it gets more specific around the programs that you're going to progress on to. So the class sizes get a little bit more smaller, and then you get more specific about the core modules that you do. So that's one of the things to remember when you're doing your actual foundation year, is that it's generally it's general for the first term, then it's more specific for the second term. Now, in terms of the entry requirements, so for Cardiff, the entry requirements, we normally ask for good high school grades. This is dependent on obviously region. There's loads of different sort of like students might be doing IGCSEs, or they might be doing various different other high school graduation sort of like certificates, etc. Generally, if you want to compare the good high school grades, if you're looking at IGCSEs, we're looking at 5 A to Cs. That's what you generally expect for Cardiff University. If you're planning on doing either medicine or dental surgery, you will need to have chemistry plus 2 other sciences. So that's one thing to just keep in mind, that you will need to have chemistry plus 2 other sciences to go into medicine or dental surgery. And you also need to have a higher IELTS as well. So those students that's going into medicine, dental surgery, optometry, you will need to have a higher IELTS, which is a requirement of 6.0, whereas the general IELTS requirement or English proficiency requirement for foundation is a 5.0. And all students need to be at least 17 years of age to enter the program. In terms of the international foundation year at Cardiff, we have 2 intakes. So you've got September and January intake that you can choose from. However, for programs such as medicine or dental surgery, in the UK, it's only a September intake. So if you're looking for that program, then you'll need to apply for only the September intake foundation year. But obviously, the team at Global Education can advise you on which intake is best to go for and which one you should apply to, depending on which you want to progress up to. So this is just highlighting some of the degrees that are available for students. So you can see there's a wide range of options that students can progress onto. I've highlighted the ones in red which have caps. So by caps, that means that we have a limit on how many international students we can accept. So you've got medicine, optometry, and dental surgery, which are all very highly competitive programs, and we have a limit on how many students we can accept. So if you are interested in these programs, you do need to make sure you do apply as soon as possible. In terms of medicine and dental surgery, we've actually reached the cap already for September. So if you are interested in this, it's going to have to be next year that we'll have any students that want to go into the foundation progressing onto this program. Now, in terms of pre-masters at Cardiff, there's 2 core routes to choose from: business, social sciences and humanities, as well as science and engineering. When it comes to the actual pre-masters at Cardiff University, you are required to have a first degree or a HND. So we do accept higher national diplomas as well. They do need to be in a relative subject area. For the degree, we can accept as low as a 2-2 or a third. For the HND, it's the upper class that we accept, or upper credit, which we accept for the HND. And students are required to have a 6.0 IELTS overall to be able to go into their pre-masters, and have to be at least 20 years of age. We have 2 intakes, so 1 in January and 1 in April, that students can actually choose from as well. In terms of the degrees available for those postgraduate students, so again, you've got a good selection of degrees that you can choose from. The ones highlighted in red again are the ones that we have a limit on how many international students we can accept. So that's being business management, business strategy, and entrepreneurship, which are two very popular programs at the university, as well as computing and IT management as well. In terms of the fees at the university, so just highlighting the fees for the foundation year, it ranges between 17,000 to 18,500 for foundation. And then when you progress onto the university, it depends on which degree you're going to. For medicine, just to highlight, in the UK to study medicine, you're looking at around 36 to 39,000 per year after you complete your foundation year. For dental surgery, it's a lot more expensive. You're looking at about 70,000 per year. So if you are looking for those type of programs, you just need to be sure and be aware that those programs are quite expensive when you progress on, but these are the prices for your actual foundation year itself. For the general degrees, once you progress onto the from the foundation to general degrees, in Cardiff, they generally range from around 25,000 to 30,000 for the general degrees at the university itself after foundation. In terms of pre-masters, so they're 15 or 15,500 depending on the route. And again, the master's degrees are generally around 20,000 to 25 at the university once you progress onto the master itself. We also do offer English language preparation. I'm not going to touch on it too much because the English proficiency in the region is really good, so you generally don't require it. For any students that don't quite meet the English proficiency, we do have a top-up English program available for any students as well. That's for both foundation as well as pre-masters. I'll also just highlight the fees for accommodation. So this is on-campus accommodation, by the way, being the self-catered option, en-suite option you can choose, or just fully catered option. What I normally recommend for students is for the first year, it's good to stay on campus, just so you're getting used to your surroundings, getting to learn about your university, make new friends, etc. From the second year, you generally find it's a lot cheaper to go for private accommodation. But I always recommend that you go for on-campus accommodation for the first year, just to get used to your new surroundings, okay? So the next university to touch on is Durham University. So this is actually our highest ranked partner that we work with in the UK. They're very world-renowned university in terms of not just the academics, but for everything that they actually offer to students in terms of the student experience. I don't know if there's any Harry Potter fans here. If there is any Harry Potter fans, you might have known about the way that like Gryffindor or Slytherin in terms of the schools and the way the Hogwarts is set up. That is actually based on the way Durham is set up, and it was actually filmed at Durham University in their cathedral as well. So the actual whole feeling of having that collegiate is one of the few universities within the UK that actually has a collegiate system. So you have like when you move on to the university, when you move from the ISC, you're allocated to this collegiate, which is your house, as they say. You will stay within accommodation within that team. You have various different intercollegiate events, sports events, sort of like talent competitions, etc. amongst your house as well. And you get to wear the house colors when you do the collegiate day as well. So it's a really good student experience for anyone that's really interested in that. And it helps you in terms of club societies and getting integrated within the university as well. Durham University is a top 100 university in the world as well. It is ranked 7th in the UK. It's been consistently ranked within the top 10 for the past 12 years now. So it's a very tremendous statistic. And also 90% of its subjects are ranked in the UK top 10, which again is something that not a lot of universities can actually boast, especially Russell universities as well, to have 90% of all their subjects actually ranked in the top 10. It's best known for business programs. So the business school is actually triple accredited. Again, very few universities around the world actually have a triple accreditation, which means that their business degrees are actually recognized worldwide. It's also well known for law as well. So the law school is very highly ranked around the world. So any students particularly interested in those subjects, Durham is a good option for you. As always, it has got other options there, but these are ones that it is very well known for. It's also got the highest graduate employment rates of any university in the UK. So roughly around 98% of graduates go into either work or further study 3.5 years after graduation, within 3.5 years. So a lot of that is due to the way that programs actually developed at Durham. So again, similar to what we do at the ISC, they have got this career ahead focus in terms of their programs, developing employability. You get access to the career hub, various different sort of support systems in place to help you for when you progress, as well as the amount of partnerships that the university actually has. Because of its actual academic standing, there's a lot of businesses that work in partnership with Durham University to help support the students as well. The university has 2 campuses. So you've got the Queen's campus, which is where the International Study Centre is located. You've also got the main Durham City campus. So that's where you progress on from the International Study Centre, whether that be your foundation year or your pre-masters. You'll then progress on to Durham City, where you'll be able to do your bachelor's degree or your master's program and stuff. Durham itself is not one of the biggest cities in the UK. It's quite a quiet city, but obviously it has got enough people to make sure you don't feel like you're lonely. But at the same time, a lot of students generally choose Durham because it's close to Newcastle, which is one of the major cities within the UK. So it's only 15 minutes away. You can also travel to other major cities such as Manchester, Edinburgh, London, which is only just under 3 hours away as well. It has got various different transport links for you to visit the rest of the UK and explore. Now, I mean, a lot of this information I've touched on in terms of Durham in the first slide. So in terms of why students generally choose it, obviously in terms of its ranking and its academic standing. It's also a World Top 40 for employer reputation as well. So that's just in terms of the reputation for the students, not the students, but the teachers that work there. And obviously there are some students that get jobs at Durham University amongst its students' union. It is a World Top 40 employer. It is World Top 40 in terms of its renown for its employer reputation. And at the same time, having Durham University on your CV or having a degree from Durham University looks very good for students when it comes to employability, because achieving it, first of all, getting into Durham University isn't easy. But coming out with a good degree from Durham University, it shows that you have got dedication, you have got what it takes to do very well when it comes into the world of work and employability. So it is a really good statistic and a good option for students. Now, going into the two options that's offered here, so it's International Foundation Year and again pre-masters, similar to Cardiff University. There are 3 routes that students can go through. So for Foundation Year, you've got the Business, Economics, Accounting and Finance. Again, it works a similar way in terms of a general first term, and then it gets more specific. You've got Humanities, Law and Social Sciences route, and then Science and Engineering routes as well. For this particular university, so Durham, because of its academic standing, the English proficiency requirement is slightly higher. So students are required to have a 5.5 in academic IELTS in English proficiency. But in terms of the high school grades, again, it's generally, if you comparison to like IGCSEs, it's 5 A to Cs. That's what we generally look for students to get into the university itself. And again, if you're going into something like engineering, maths, you need to have maths, etc. But again, when you're applying, CMAT Global Education can support you in what you generally do need. Or if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us to be able to support you as well. There's 2 intakes, so September and January. And again, the International Foundation Year is generally 3 terms. At the bottom of the slide, you can actually see a highlight for those students if you just didn't really understand the difference between a September and a January intake. So the September intake, for those students that start a foundation in September, you will have a summer break. So you get to have a break between July and August before commencing onto your progression degree or your next studies in September. For those students that start in January, you study all the way through. So you only have around 1 or 2 week break at the end of August before you progress on to your actual degree program. So just bear in mind that if you are starting or choosing to go for a January intake, you will be required to study for the full time all the way through to August, and you only have a shorter break. So if you don't mind doing that type of intense program, then by all means, and you like to do a shorter term program, by all means go for the January intake. It is a little bit cheaper as well. Alternatively, if you like to have a little bit of break and more not as intense as you say, then you can go for the September intake as well. So in terms of the progression degrees from Business, Economics, Accounting and Finance Foundation, as you can see, it generally speaks for itself. You've got like Economics, Finance, Marketing and Management. These are generally the degrees that you can progress onto from that foundation. For Humanities, Laws and Social Sciences, there's quite a wide range of available for students from that foundation. So being like archaeology, anthropology, you've got classic Chinese studies. There's a good variation of degrees that you can go into as well. If you want to go into like linguistics or something like that, this is generally the type of degree that your foundation per year that you'll go for. For Science and Engineering, again, it's quite more specific. So you go into stuff like biological sciences, chemistry, computer science, which is available there. It's one of the top programs. You've got geology, geophysics. There's quite a good range from that route there, and that's the type of programs you will go on to. Now, for pre-masters, the options that we have available is 2 routes. You've got Business, Economics and Accounting and Finance route, and then the Science and Engineering route. You've got either the 2-term option or the 3-term option, that being either the September or the 3-term options are available in September or January, but if you want to do the 2-term option, it's only January intake that we can take. Also, the IELTS is slightly higher in terms of the requirement for pre-masters. So if you're doing the January intake, which is a 2-term program, January intake pre-masters, you are required to have a higher academic IELTS or English proficiency, so it's a 6.0. Otherwise, the 3-term is a 5.5 academic IELTS that we require. And again, similar, we do require students to have a good first degree as well, or bachelor's degree. So we can accept as low as a 2, 2 or 3rd. They just need to have a degree within a relevant subject to be able to do the pre-masters Durham University. In terms of the pre-master's progression routes, so again, you've got the core routes there, all being under either finance or economics, marketing or management. So there's a good range of degrees that you can progress onto. And then for science and engineering, it's slightly more limited. So you've got the engineering routes, is which we actually recently updated last year. So before, previously, you could only go into civil and general engineering, but we've got a few more engineering options because they have developed the engineering school at Durham as well. So these are some good options if you want to go into a master's or MSc in engineering as well. The next university to highlight is University of Sheffield. Again, it is a very popular option for a lot of international students. Again, World Top 100 University, another member of that prestigious Russell Group. It's ranked 14th in the UK, but the reason why it's quite popular is because it's students' union. So it is one of the best students' unions. It's actually ranked #1 within the UK. It is a city campus. So University of Sheffield is different to a Cardiff or a Durham University. Cardiff and Durham, you've got everything on campus. It's kind of in its own little silo, the campus itself, all everything in one place. With University of Sheffield, a city campus university, you'll find that there is various different lecture halls that's kind of dotted about various parts of the city. For example, you might, when you walk out the student union at Durham University of Sheffield, you'll be on a high street, you've got the shops there, you just walk down the road to go into your next lecture hall. Some students prefer that because you feel like you're part of the busy sort of like business kind of district. Or the city itself. So it might be a preferred option for students, but just bear in mind that that is a city campus. But a lot of students do love it there. As I said, it's ranked #1 for students' union in the UK in terms of its support and the students' experience as well. In terms of its program, so what Sheffield is normally known for, what is quite popular for is specifically its engineering route. So it's really good in terms of engineering as well. I'll touch on the engineering options a little bit later. But going back in terms of the city of Sheffield as well, so it's the 4th largest city within the UK and within England. So you can see it's one of the major cities, a very popular destination for students, only 2 hours from London and over 60% green space as well. So it's one of the greenest cities in Europe. So again, you've got the best of both worlds, where you've got the city feel, again, one of the largest cities. So you can see it's very popular. It's got, if you're interested in football, it's home to two of the top football teams. So you've got Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield United is not doing too well at the moment in the Premier League, but it is one of the grounds that you can visit when you're actually at Sheffield itself. Now, in terms of the international foundation, so we've got 3 core routes. You've got the business, social science, and humanities. Again, it works quite similar to the other 2 options that I've mentioned, being Durham and Cardiff. We've also got the science and engineering route. The other route that it has got is specifically just for dentistry. So whereas Cardiff has medicine and dentistry progression, and that's the only university that has both of those program progression, the one that we actually have on our portfolio, the only university still in our portfolio for both of those options. Sheffield is the other option for just dentistry students. So if you're interested in progressing onto dental surgery, you can also choose Sheffield University as well. The intake is only in September, as it is with all universities across the UK, but this is a great option for any students in the foundation year progressing onto their bachelor's. In terms of the international foundation year, so there is 3 intakes that students can choose from. So you've got the 2-semester program, which is in September or January intake. We've also got the 1.5 semester, so slightly shorter term program, which is in the March intake as well, which is a little bit more intense. For the shorter term program, so the March intake, we require students to have a 6.0 IELTS. So you have to have a slightly higher IELTS. And then for the 2-semester program, we can accept as low as a 5.0 IELTS, which is quite good. Again, the English proficiency is generally quite is generally quite good within the region, so you shouldn't have any worries with that. In terms of the pre-master's routes, so we have the business, social sciences and humanities, and again, science and engineering as you did with the other options as well. And you've got the various different routes you can progress onto from there. Again, we have got the September, January and March intake for the pre-masters. And again, it works the same way. You do need to have a 6.0 IELTS, so it's slightly higher IELTS for the March intake, and it's a 5.5 IELTS for the 2-term program as well. The next university and the final university I'm going to highlight today is the University of Leeds. Again, it is a very popular option amongst the region, Leeds being one of the major cities, again, within the UK. UK top 15 university, within the top 100 as well, within the world. It's very well known for not just its research programs, but also very well known for business. It is one of the largest business districts as well within the UK and within Europe as well. So it is a good option for those students that look to study anything in regards to business or research type university. research type program. In terms of its location, it's very central to the north of England. So you can see it's between York and Manchester. Because of its central location, you've got easy access to various different destinations. Again, only 2 hours from London. If you want to visit Scotland, it's only 3 hours from Edinburgh, and you've got the good transport network to be able to go to any type of major city within the UK as well. In terms of the programs offered at Leeds, so there's 2 options that we offer at Leeds. We've got the International Foundation Year, and we do the International Year 1. We don't do pre-masters programs at the Leeds International Study Centre. So for the International Foundation Year, you've got 2 options. You've got the Business, Law and Social Studies route that students can progress onto. So again, you have the programs that you can progress onto from there. And then you've got the Science, Engineering and Computing route for the International Foundation Year. In terms of the intakes, again, as mentioned, it's September and January, similar to a lot of our other partners. For students, we do require students to have a minimum 5.0 IELTS. So it's slightly lower in terms of the English proficiency than it is for Durham. Good high grades, again, it's 5 A to C's generally across the board that we require for Russell University. And again, students need to be at least 17 years of age to be able to start the foundation year. For the International Year 1, we have 3 options where students can choose from. So again, this is your equivalent to your first year of your bachelor's degree. You've got the International Year 1 in International Relations. You've got the International Year 1 in Biological Sciences, and the very popular program, the International Year 1 in Business Management. So previously, we actually had caps. So we had a limit on how many international students we can accept onto the Leeds International Study Centre International Year 1. We only recently, so it was only about a week ago, we've actually lifted those caps. So the announcement is going out to all students, so we can accept an unlimited amount of students onto the Business Management program. Again, the reason why it's very popular is because Leeds, the business school, is triple accredited, similar to what it is with Durham University. So this is a very popular option. So it is uncapped. We can accept an unlimited amount of students onto it. So if you are interested in that program, this is a great option for students. Now, in terms of the International Year 1, again, it's September and January intake. Students do need to be at least 18 years of age, and the IELTS is higher than the foundation year. So you are required to have a 5.5 IELTS. In terms of the high school grades, again, it is 5 A to C's generally if you're comparing to IGCSEs, but you do need to have a further year of study to be able to go into International Year 1. So you need to have completed your Year 12 and then a further year of study beyond that to be able to go into the International Year 1 program at Leeds International Study Centre. Now, I've highlighted the key parts of the university. Lastly, I just wanted to talk you through the scholarships that we have available. So we do have partial scholarships available for international students or any students going into International Study Centre. So this is both for any foundation year programs. This is also for any International Year 1 programs as well as pre-masters programs. Students can receive between 10 to 20% of the scholarship for either their foundation year, International Year 1 or pre-masters program. It's not applicable for CAPS degree programs. So if students are interested in going to a program like medicine or dental surgery or optometry, those programs which has a limit on how many international students we can accept, then we are unable to offer any scholarships on those type of programs. But the general programs, we are able to offer a scholarship onto their studies at the International Study Centre. So you don't need to worry. There's no interview required with the students or anything like that. Literally, once you've got a conditional offer, if you're really interested, as long as you're able to be able to confirm that place within 2 weeks, because we do put a two-week expiry on scholarships, then you just let the team know at Global Education. They'll send us an email, and then we can request that scholarship for you for when you want to study. Okay. So that's the key information that I wanted to share with you today. I want to open it up to the floor now for questions. Hopefully I didn't bore you, and hopefully the information that I provided has been valuable. But yes, George, it'd be good to go through some of the questions or any questions that arise today.
Winston, that was a lot of information, so thank you for sharing that with us. You know, it's so much in such a short time frame, and I wanted everyone to be aware that, you know, this information is available, and, you know, they can reach out to yourself to have that further one-to-one conversation. The one thing I wanted to ask you while listening into all of this and seeing all the various options, what support structures are in place for students that are going through one of the programs, whether it's foundation or pre-masters? What types of support do they get, and services available to help them study or look for work, or you know just help them to get used to sort of, you know, that university lifestyle?
Sure. So with the international study centres that we have, largely it's set up to provide that support for students. especially those ones that's entering into the international students traveling and entering into the UK itself. We do, all students will be set up on a buddy system. So you have a buddy system in place when you do enter the university. This is just literally for, it will be like another student or alumni that's studied at the International Study Centre previously. This is just to help you feel comfortable, get to know things. If you're unsure of where to go, where's a good places to eat, etc. Or if you want to go to party, where you want to go to party, they'll be able to advise you of that information there. Separate from that, we have got the academic support. So this is the actual ISC team that provide this. So you've got two options. You've got the general academic support, which is like your lecturers that you'll speak to. There'll be ones that set up like one-to-one sessions with you. They will go through how you're progressing, etc. in terms of your studies. You've then got the progression support side of things. So these are the team that give you sort of like your forecast. That's okay, you're at this rate at the moment. You need to be here. This is what we need to put in place in terms of your studies to be able to get you to where you need to be to progress on at the university. So we do offer various different supports for you for well-being, as well as the academic support as well. It's fully available at all of our international study centres. There's roughly around a team of 200 people that we provide the support through. And progression is the key thing that we look for from all of our students. So we help you, I guess, sometimes studying is not always easy. Sometimes it's quite difficult, especially if you're studying online, because students are allowed to start online with the current pandemic. We do provide a lot of support for those students as well, various enrichment activities as well that go through the actual welcome. For all the welcome weeks, so when you do enroll, so if you do choose to study with one of our programs, we do a pre-arrival seminar with you. So at the moment, they've been conducted online, but you also get one for when you arrive on campus as well. So this is literally just to tell you what to expect, how to set up a bank account, where to go to, etc., to do your shopping, what type of places to sign up for, or where to register your card so you can get your various discounts. We do put those things fully in place, just so you have a good idea of what to expect for when you arrive on the International Study Centre at the university.
Yeah, I always hear the different support structures out there, and I always think of my own experience and how much more I wish I took advantage of them. I mean, it's easier to look back than it is to go forward, so we'll keep that. I got two questions here before I go into some more of our questions. Tendai is asking more of an IELTS related question, and is asking, so even for international students, only IELTS exams are acceptable as evidence for English proficiency. Are there any other testings?
Yeah, so we do accept other tests. So you can do like a TOEFL or Pearson, PTE, a UKVI, we can accept as well. There are different ones that we can accept. If for students that are starting online, it's a little bit wider in terms of the English proficiencies we can accept. So our universities for foundation or for pre-masters, we can actually accept like Duolingo for online to start your online studies. But it does need to be a UKVI English test for when you want to progress to the university face-to-face and attain your visa. So again, IELTS, Pearson's, PTE, there's various different options we can accept as well. If you're ever unsure, you can also check our ISC website, which shows all the full list of ones we can accept.
And please reach out to Global and we can sort of assess and see where you fit in the model that you can get into as well.
Exactly, the team at Global as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like it's you can't just apply with just one sort of area. You need to get the whole exposure and see what options are out there for you and for what you're looking to do. And this is why I love these webinars. It gives you a chance to hear the information directly, go home, research it, and then come and get back in touch with us once you're ready and you're prepared. So use these as a resource and a tool. Winston, I wanted to ask you a question from one of the team here. If a student's looking to do a pathway program to get into one of the different universities, how does that work? They're linked to that university. Could you go through how that application sort of looks like in terms of when they would get their letter of offer, some timeframes and what they should expect?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the International Study Centre, so if you're studying one of the foundation programs at our International Study Centre within the university, you don't need another offer. So you don't need to do another application. That's not required. Your progression is automatic as long as you meet the requirements to go into your chosen degree. So when you receive when you start on your program, the university will let you know, or we tell you part of your actual welcome as well, what the progression rates are. Generally, it's for Roskilde University, you need to achieve at least around 60 to 70% in terms of your actual foundation program. You need to achieve around 60 to 70% in your English skills as well. As long as you meet those requirements, you will automatically progress onto your chosen degree program. So you don't need to send another application, to the university. The only difference is that you will receive a separate CAS. So these are not two CAS programs, so you don't receive one. It's two separate visas that you have to receive. So when you do your foundation year, you have one visa for your foundation, and then once you're progressing through, you then do a visa renewal within the UK, so you don't need to go home to do this, and then you get your visa for your remaining either 3 years or 4 years bachelors, whichever one you're doing. It works the same way for pre-masters. So you get one visa for your pre-masters at these particular universities, the Russell Group, and then you get your second visa for the masters. Again, renewal will be done within the country as well, so you don't need to worry about that. That's what we support you.
What's one part of student life that you really want students to take notes from this webinar? You've gone into some really high level details across some very prestigious universities. What's one takeaway point that you really want students to focus on in thinking of where to choose and to why choose one of your programs?
Yeah, sure. So, one thing I always say to students that's searching for a university or looking at international study at any destination is the key thing is to look at the employability prospects of that university and the employment rate. That's the key thing, because at the end of the day, when you're going to do your studies, you don't want to study forever. You want to get a good job at the end of it. So the key thing to look at any university, whether that be one of our partners or if it's going to one of the university that's with one of our competitors or another university, is look at what the employment support you have. Okay, so that would be the support in terms of developing your career, in terms of building a career plan. If you want to go into entrepreneurship, what kind of support is provided in terms of how you write a business plan? How do you approach a bank for a loan? Those are the key things to make sure you look at in your program, because that is that's what you're going to need at the end of your studies to be able to be prepared to go into the world of work. With our international study centers, we know that that's a core factor and that's a key thing when it comes to international students or any student. As a matter of fact, so it's very important that we have good employability good employability development and embedded throughout all of our programs. And that's what we do. At every single one of our ISCs, we have that career ahead support. We have that career hub where you get access to that via our studies. We incorporate that within our programs to make sure you are prepared from day one. So this is not just throughout the International Study Center, but this is also embedded throughout the programs when you progress at the universities as well. We work together to build these programs to make sure that you get the best out of it. So the key thing is look at the employability when it comes to the universities that you're applying for. That answers the question, but if not,
yeah, no,
feel free to ask me to elaborate.
Yeah, it's with webinars and when doing all these Zoom calls, it's like you hear an answer and you want to be like, hey, I get it, but then you feel like you're constantly answering it again. Yeah. So I really appreciate what you said, and like I said at the beginning of this webinar, I'm a student. We've all gone through something very similar, and it's great to be able to look back and think, okay, I should have done this, this, and this, and one of the things that I've taken from your webinar and your presentation here is that there's a lot of support structure there. You're not alone, and especially going to a new culture and a new country, like the UK from Southern Africa, it's no small feat. So I really do appreciate how you've presented this, Winston. I've got a question here, and it's involved with the pandemic and COVID. How are students studying online at the moment? What's actually happening with COVID? Can they start now? What's sort of happening because of the pandemic with the study group programs?
Yeah, so all students at our international study centers are studying online at the moment. So the campuses are currently closed within the UK. The UK is currently processing in terms of their rollout. So the plan is that they will have the UK opened fully by June the 21st, depending on how the pandemic or the virus or the spread of the virus subsides within the country. Now, in terms of our students, so if you have got an offer to start in September, we are allowing those students to start online, or any of our other centers that are starting like July intakes or anything. All those students are able to start online, and then you can progress onto campus once it's safe to do so. The target is that we will have campuses open fully by the time the UK opens up, so June the 21st. From that date, we're hoping to have all our campuses open. What is likely, in my opinion, what will happen is what we've done last year, September, is we had blended learning. So what that means is that students will have a mixture of online learning, online classes, and face-to-face classes. So the large lecture halls we won't be able to operate because of social distancing, but certainly smaller class groups will be doing, we'll be able to do those face-to-face. But the larger groups will have to be online, and that's probably what's going to be happening for at least the next year until things get a little bit better in terms of the vaccine rollout and everything else that's happening there. But you can start online and then later on travel to the UK to go face-to-face.
Another question for you, Winston. What are the other university partners you represent in the UK?
What are the other university partners? So I did show, actually I will highlight, I'll go back to the slide if you don't mind. So I can show you the university partners that we do represent. So you can see the list here. So we've got 2 in Scotland. So you've got University of Aberdeen as well as University of Strathclyde. And then you've got, other than the Ross group I've mentioned, you've got University of Huddersfield. That is actually a very popular option because it is a TEFCO school, very well known academically, and it's our most cost effective option. So it's good value as well. And then you've got the London options being like Kingston, as well as you've got Coventry University, London, and Royal Holloway as well. So these are the options that we do have within the UK, where we have all international study centres and then the foundation program that you progress on to. We do have Bellaby's College, which is where we do like A-levels, foundation, and international year 1. This is for those students that may not be interested in progressing to one of our actual universities, or they may want to go to a university that doesn't quite have a foundation program for their bachelor's. So just to explain, in terms of the UK, not all bachelor's degrees not all universities, have a foundation program for their bachelor's degree. So sometimes you need to go to a separate provider to be able to do a foundation. So we've got Bellaby's College, whereby you can do, it's almost like an expansion for a portfolio. So you can do a foundation there and then progress on to a range. There's about over 100 universities you can go to from the foundation there. So that's a separate option that we do have as well.
A student that's looking to do media and get into sort of creative arts, do you have a recommendation of where they should look at? I'm looking at Royal Holloway there. Maybe that's an option. Who do you recommend, and what types of programs do they offer?
Yeah, so if you're looking to do media or like creative arts or those type of programs, then Royal Holloway, as George mentioned, is a fantastic option. You've also got University of Sussex. Again, it's highly ranked. It's not a part of the Russell Group, but it's another highly ranked option. Or if you're looking for something that's a little bit more cost effective, because it's offered at almost all of our universities, then you've got University of Huddersfield, which is a very cost effective option. One of the things I do say is that if you're very specific in terms of like the programs you want to do, like a film studies or something like that, you generally will find that these are available at universities like University of Sussex or Huddersfield or even like Aberdeen, because they're known as a full spectrum university. And by that, that's basically a university that offers the widest range of programs that you can find. Generally, some students come with demands that you're a bit unsure of, or the student might be, I want this specific program. If you go for a full spectrum university like an Aberdeen or Sussex or Huddersfield, you generally find the programs there. But whereas like some other universities are a little bit more specific with their subjects, so it's good to go for a full spectrum university for that. So either Huddersfield for cost effectiveness, or if you're looking for a good high ranked option, good academics, Royal Holloway or University of Sussex is good for media and communication.
I think I've got the last question here, and if anybody has any more questions, please put them in the Q&A section on the chat box, or send me a direct message. I'm more than happy to discuss them here with Winston. Winston, I've got a student that's very is very sport orientated. They're looking to play rugby in the UK. They're looking to play professional rugby, but they also want to keep minded of academic progress and going through a foundation program. Is that something that's workable, or should they focus purely on the foundation program? How does it work on a day-to-day schedule with that program?
So if the student wants to, so they want to play professional and study part-time, is that what
Yes.
I think?
So they're looking to start at grassroots, play club rugby and sort of build up their sporting progress, but they also want to study at the same time. Is that something that you do during a foundation, or should they pick one or the other to focus on?
Yeah, so the way that all our programs are set up full-time. So they are not actually a part-time study option. if a student is looking to play professionally, grassroots or and develop, and then do part-time study, there are some specialists like schools. There's like some sports specialists, sort of like universities that do this. Generally, you'll find that these are linked to the clubs itself. So the clubs that you are, if you get like sort of like a contract or sort of like you get signed up to a professional club, they will have the ones that they do their part-time courses. But with our ones, they're all full-time. I mean, if you can manage a full-time study as well as go to do your training, then by all means you can do that in international foundation year. I probably would recommend doing something like a foundation year option, because it's a bit lighter on the workload than if you was that you're going directly into bachelor's. But generally, those type of schools will be linked to the club itself, to the actual professional sports club. So they'll recommend the colleges that you go to for that.
Just got the last, I think this might be our last question here. It's a medicine one, so I think they've kept it right for the end for us. So we do appreciate that. They're looking to get into neurology. Do you have a recommendation of where they should look at, and what should they look out for in the application?
Yeah, so if you're looking to go into neurology, then in terms of the health or medical life sciences type of sort of like programs, the best options that we have at the moment is either Cardiff or University of Sheffield. They have those programs that you can progress on, and they're very well known in terms of their life sciences in terms of the life sciences schools. In terms of the applications for it, generally they do require students to have a good IELTS, as mentioned. So you're looking to have at least a 6.0 or 5.5 to a 6.0 to be able to go into the program. Because it's not specifically medicine or specifically dental surgery, so you're going into your neurology instead, you won't be required to have the chemistry plus the 2 sciences. You just need to have 2 sciences, either being biology and one other science, like biology or physics. But in terms of the application process, it's not as strict as it is for if you're going into either medicine, like or Bachelor of Dental Surgery, because for those programs you need to have like your UCAT, you need to go through the interview at the university, etc. So it's slightly easier. It's just that you do need to have 2 sciences for that instead of the 3 which you have for medicine. So it's not too bad.
Great. And on that note, Winston, I'd like to thank you for a lovely presentation and some great insights here into the UK. If you have any last words for anybody listening into this webinar before we say thank you, and we will be seeing you again on Thursday to look at the Australia side of things as well. Right. And that's this coming Thursday at 7:30 p.m. again in South Africa. So we do look forward to seeing you again. Any last words, Winston?
Yeah, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for joining. I know the decisions that you're making right now are very important. One of the most important decisions in your life in terms of when you're choosing a university. So make sure you don't rush into it. You take your time and you make sure you look at the programs that you're choosing to study. If you're going to study something like medicine, just make sure you want to be a doctor. That's always our students. If you study medicine, do you want to be a doctor? If you want to be someone that goes into doing like developing cures or doing lab work, you might want to go into something like biomedicine or biochemistry rather than just medicine as its own. So just think about the programs you're choosing, take your time about your decisions, don't rush into it, and make sure you just draw out that plan as to where you want to go as well. But I do appreciate you joining today. I do love giving this advice to students. I mean, I've got a passion for it. But if you have any questions, reach out to the global education team. They can support you. If you want to set up an individual call with the global education and myself, I'll be happy to do that as well, as to do that with students as well. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Winston. Lovely to see you. And I'll see you on Thursday. And to everybody, keep safe and have a lovely evening. Good night.
See you on Thursday. Thanks, George. Bye, everyone.